Hi everyone, and thank you so much for watching my channel, The Witty Turtle. In the last class, we had studied about all the 14 kinds of businesses which are mentioned under section 35 AD as the specified businesses, right? They started from 2009 and between 2009 to 2017, 14 businesses were added in the list. So let's do a quick revision of that. In the year 2009, that was the first year, three businesses were added in the list. The first one was cold chain facility for fish produce, meat produce, and agro produce. The second business was your warehousing business for agro produce, right? The third was setting up and operating pipeline business for petroleum oil and natural gases. These were the first three businesses. After that, in the budget of 2010, again three items came in the list. The first one was building and operating hotels which are at least 2 stars or above, 2, 3, 5, 7, any stars. It should be above 2 stars, right? The second business was hospital business having at least 100 beds. And the last one was housing project under a slum redevelopment housing scheme. After that, in the year of 2011's budget, again two items were added. The first one was production of fertilizers in India, and the second one was housing project under affordable housing scheme, right? After that, in the budget of 2012, again three things were added. The first one was about honeybee, so that was the business of beekeeping and production of bee honey and beeswax. The last one was warehousing for sugar, and the middle one was Adani, right? So wo kya tha? That was setting up of container depot and container freight station, right? After that, in the year 2014, remember it is 2014, again two things were added in the list. The first one was establishing slurry pipeline for transportation of iron ores. आयरन ओर्स को यहाँ से वहाँ ट्रांसपोर्ट करने के लिए वट एवर पाइपलाइन इज नीडेड दैट इज नोन एज योर स्लरी पाइपलाइन. So establishing of slurry pipeline for transporting iron ores from one place to another, that business was added in the list of specified businesses. After that, in the same year, that is 2014, again another thing came, right? जो कि which is mostly used in your electric vehicles, right? EV industry में there is a huge shortage of this thing, right? Try to remember it like that. That is your semiconductor, right? So what was the business? Setting up of semiconductor wafers fabrication manufacturing unit. Setting up of semiconductor wafer is one word, like semiconductor wafer is the name of the product, fabrication is the name of the process, and then manufacturing unit. So setting up of semiconductor wafer fabrication manufacturing unit, right? And after that, in the year 2017, again another business was introduced, which was your new infrastructure facility, right? New infrastructure facility. So in the last class, we had studied only up to this particular thing, that is your new infrastructure facility. So in today's class, we will understand what are the things included in under your new infrastructure facility. So under this, there are only four things. The headings are, the first one is any kind of roads, which includes toll roads, bridges, or your railway systems, right? The second is what? The second is highways. So it includes construction of highways or any kind of housing facilities or any kind of activities which are an integral part of highway construction, right? The third is water related things. For example, water supply treatment, sewerage treatment, any kind of sanitation, or एक क्या था? Another thing was your water supply project. Okay, so under this water thing, in the third point, there are five things. The first one is your water supply project, then water treatment system, irrigation project, sanitation and sewerage system, and lastly your solid waste management system, right? So this is your third point. And lastly, any kind of port, right? Any kind of ports, for example, your airports, then your inland waterways, inland ports, or any kind of navigation channel. So they come under your new infrastructure facility. So tell me, what are the four things coming under this? The first is any kind of road, including the bridges, railway system, and toll roads. The second is what? Highway including any kind of housing project or any kind of activity which is an integral part of your highway construction. Then the third is water supply project, water treatment project, sanitation and sewerage system, then your solid waste management system, and lastly it is your irrigation project, right? Irrigation project is needed for your agricultural work. And the last is what? Any kind of port. If you are uh, 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 providing any new infrastructure facility in terms of establishing any port, that can be either airport or inland port or any kind of navigation channel or your inland waterways, right? So all these four things come under the last specified business, which is your new infrastructure facility which came in the budget of 2017, right? I hope this is clear. All the 14 businesses are clear. Now we will understand the nitty-gritties of this particular section. So now we'll start with what are the expenditures which are allowed or eligible for this section, right? So all the revenue expenditures are allowed, and all the capital expenditures are allowed up to 100%, right? It may be there are certain exceptions, but that we will study further. As of now, you remember all the revenue expenditures and all the capital expenditures are allowed up to 100%, right? But for an existing business, the business which is existing now, in that case the capital expenditure is allowed up to 100% in the year, in the previous year in which that particular expenditure has been incurred, right? In the year in which that particular business particular capital expenditure has incurred, in that particular year, what happens? The capital expenditure is allowed. But here the condition is that the capital expenditure must be incurred wholly and exclusively for the specified business only, right? Now coming to the second aspect, that is, what if before commencement of the business or maybe before incorporation of the company you have incurred the capital expenditure? So in that case, starting from the date of commencement of the business, in whatever previous year the business has commenced, in that previous year all the capital expenditure will be allowed up to 100%, and revenue expenditure will be allowed up to 100%, obviously, right? वो तो additional है, but here you need to remember that all the capital expenditures are allowed up to 100%, right? Now in case of expenditure incurred prior to commencement of the operation, it shall be eligible, but eligible for the deduction. But there are two conditions, right? The first one is the expenditure is incurred prior to the commencement of its operation, right? And the second thing is that this particular amount must be capitalized in the books of account of the SSE in the previous year in which the business was commenced, right? In the previous year in which the operation of the business commenced, in that year's books of accounts, this particular expenditure must be capitalized, right? If these two conditions are satisfied, then yes, in that particular year you can claim 100% deduction for the capital expenditure, right? Whatever capital expenditure you have made. So here now we will understand what are the expenditures which are not eligible for deduction under section 3580, right? So basically there are three transactions or three expenditures, right? The first one is acquisition of land. If you are acquiring any kind of land, then in that case that is not eligible. Second, acquisition of goodwill or purchasing of goodwill. If you are acquiring the goodwill of another SSE, then that particular goodwill cannot be claimed under your section 3580. And lastly, if you are purchasing or acquiring any kind of financial instrument for business purpose, right? Financial instrument for business purpose, then it is not eligible for this particular section, right? Now here the fourth thing is that if you are making a payment of more than 10,000 in a single day to a single person, right? In a single day to a single person through cash, then again that particular thing cannot be claimed under as deduction under this section. If you are making any payment which exceeds 10,000 rupees, which is made in a single day to a single person, but If you are doing it through your bank demand draft or bank check or through electronic clearing system or any online mode, then it is allowed. But if you are paying it through cash or any other way other than all these things, then again it is not allowed, right? You can remember it simply like it is allowed in those cases in which any kind of record is maintained for the transaction. But in case of cash, what happens? No record is maintained for the transaction, so it is not allowed, right? If you find this video helpful and this video series beneficial for you, then please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, The Witty Turtle. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so that tomorrow you will be notified when I'll upload a new video on PGBP, right? And yes, don't forget to share this video with your CA and CMA final friends.